I'm wondering if you can chime in on that. Do you think age plays a role into the decreasing 30% in audience going down? Do you find that to be a factor?
Um, I'm not entirely sure. It was interesting actually looking at the League of American Orchestras report I mentioned, and the biggest factor was not finding an event that they wanted to go to. So I think although age is certainly a factor and mobility and things, I think the aging audience thing may be sort of a simple way of looking at what is potentially quite a complex issue, and it is all those factors. Yes, they are. If an audience member becomes older, there's then more factors that affect them, but equally, that I think there's then more solutions. It's just that they're being picky about what they then do with that. Realistically, it's probably one of the most COVID-safe environments, so I don't think that's a factor. Like going to a pub is probably significantly worse. So if they have health concerns, that's certainly a challenge. Um, but yeah, I don't necessarily think it is, and there's more we can do to really value them. And I think we've been very entitled with our audiences in the past and taken them for granted, and we've not really invested into them or rewarded them for coming year after year after year. It's always about me, me, me as an orchestra, where it's like donate to us, give us things, come into our thing, and it's never that return. It's almost like having that one really selfish friend who always rings when they're in trouble, but never is never there for you. Um,
Mm,
and I think as a result, that's why
sounds
like
familiar. Sounds
yeah,
familiar.
everyone has one of those.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I think some of the brands are that do the opposite of that are really good. Bizarrely, in the pandemic, there was a soccer team in Scotland who rang all of their season ticket holders when they had no games and no income, not to ask for money, but they just wanted to ask how their fans were. And that was their entire thing. There was no return on it. It was like, we just want to check up and see how you're doing. And so any points where there are like connections where they can have touching points in musicians and build relationships and actually have that connection is I think going to be invaluable going forwards. And in our concert going experience, we have no real point of touch for musicians. There's no way to really build a relationship with them because they are behind. There's a divide between the audience and the stage, and they're almost in a snow globe that we can't really reach out and touch and speak to. So I think the more we can do to sort of to vocalize those connections, whether it's mid-performance, pre-performance, post-performance, are going to help build relationships that mean that we can actually, yeah, have long-term meaningful relationships with people.
I want the audience to notice that David mentioned the word connection more than once. So connection is the key here because as you like all of this factors, like I'm already thinking of like amazing ideas of like how to enhance the orchestral experience because essentially, like you said, we go to a pre-concert talk, go to the concert, we go home, and then maybe we buy a drink during intermission, right? But I for me personally as a musician, like I'm grateful to have performed in a variety of different genres. Like on like tomorrow, after this interview is aired, I mean, I'm going to be performing in a Bollywood concert, which is amazing, right? And something that I've noticed in the concert that I personally attend is that I have a personal relationship or some kind of connection to the person who is performing, right? And I think there is that lack of personality between um most orchestras, I wouldn't say all of them, but most orchestras, I feel like I constantly talk about the concert masters who I've interviewed on the Violin Podcast because they're doing outreach, they're doing things in their community so that way they can stay connected with the people. Philadelphia Orchestra, I know that the concertmaster of Berlin Phil, who's an American, does a lot of stuff on social media. There are a lot of concertmasters now who are actively playing a role in the success of their orchestras, which I find to be a very fascinating topic as well.